everyone, thank you for tuning in to J. for Astrology. My name is Jenny, and I would like to thank you in advance for liking, commenting, and subscribing. Your active engagement with the channel helps the channel grow and helps my message reach more people. For those of you who don't already know me, I went through a dark night of the soul a few years back when I met my karmic twin flame, and it changed me permanently, for the better. It was through the process of exploring the depths of my soul and my psyche that I discovered astrology and realized that it was a useful tool for me to use to help others navigate their journeys. So let's think about what a full moon is. If we rewind back to K through 12 science class, we can recall that a full moon happens when it's opposite the sun in the sky, reflecting the light of the sun. In this way, full moons can serve as mirrors. If the sun illuminates where it is and it shines a light on it, then the mirror, which is reflecting that light, the moon, is also illuminating areas of our life that we should focus on. So the focal point here is going to be on the mutable signs. We have our sun in Pisces, which is a mutable water sign. We'll have our moon across from the sun, which is in
A mutable earth sign.
Virgo. And then we will have the other two mutable energies, Sagittarius and Gemini, forming a challenging 90-degree angle to both the sun and the moon, which will also be involved in this. So we'll get into that a bit more in detail. In order to fully understand the energy behind a sign, we need to look to its planetary ruler or rulers. The sun in Pisces right now, we want to focus on Neptune and Jupiter. Neptune is the modern-day ruler of Pisces, while Jupiter is the traditional ruler. Both of those planets rule over mutable energies that are adaptable and changeable, and they're focused on expansion of the self to reach the highest level of self. Neptune rules over the ocean, all things dreams, emotions, spirituality, transcendence, and personal transformation, while Jupiter represents luck, expansion, and wisdom. Pisces in the 12th house it represents many things, but among them, endings and transformations through endings and new beginnings. Endings and death. Death meaning sheddings of layers of the old self, parts of us that are no longer relevant or resonate with us that we don't want to bring into the future. Piscean energy incarnated on this planet for three primary purposes. One, to transmute painful experiences and emotions into creative works of art, be it a beautiful song that touches the heart of millions or a piece of fine pottery. Two, Piscean energy incarnated on this planet to maintain a spiritual practice in the physical 3D. What does that mean? It means that their spirituality isn't just in the fifth dimension. It doesn't just exist in the ether or in their minds. It is something that they commit to and they practice with consistent effort on a daily basis. And anyone with strong Piscean energy knows that this is a truth. There are periods of time, if I fall off of my yoga practice, my journaling practice, my self-care routines, where my mood suffers. It's very important for people with strong empathy and compassion for others who are able to feel all the pains of the universe, or so it feels sometimes, to have an outlet that they can actively process through these heavy emotions. Piscean energy incarnated on this planet to make many sacrifices for the benefit of humanity. With this full moon, there's an emphasis of energy on where the sun is located, Pisces, and where the moon is located in Virgo. So first we'll start with what planets are in Pisces. We're having a bit of a party in Pisces. The sun has been in Pisces since Saturday, February 18th, and it remains there until March 20th. On March 2nd, just after Mercury and Saturn aligned at that 29th anaretic degree of Aquarius, Mercury is removed into Pisces, it's there now, from March 2nd until March 18th. So we'll have an alignment of that our conscious logical minds and our awareness with our karma, and it'll also align with where our sun is, where our emphasis of energy is, so that we can focus on and work through our karmic lessons. We also have Neptune, which has been in the sign of Pisces for quite some time. It started its ingress into Pisces back in 2012, and it'll be there until 2026. So this has been going on behind the scenes, and it's a very beneficial. We're lucky that this is happening there at this time, because Neptune is in its sign of rulership, which makes this energy both beneficial and strong. We may see, since Pisces is all about healing and spirituality, we may see themes involving hospitals, especially addiction and sobriety. I'll get into that a little bit more. It has to do with where Pisces falls on the negative and how, when that becomes imbalanced, what that can lead to. It also involves dreams, rest, and intuition. Spiritual meditation centers and places of prayer. Boundaries. It's a mutable water sign, remember? And mutable signs struggle with boundaries because they just want to merge with the other. Involves endings, undoings, death, rebirth, and cycles of personal transformation. Remember, Pisces rules over the last house, the 12th house. It's the final sign in the zodiac, and that's why this is the astrological new year. We may celebrate the new year in December, but the actual new year, the astrological new year, occurs on the spring equinox. It occurs simultaneously with the start of spring. Pisces themes also involve the feet and the pineal gland, which is associated with the third eye and the crown chakra. It's symbolized by two fish swimming simultaneously but in opposite directions, which represents the duality of the sign. It's similar to another mutable sign, Gemini, which rules over the twins. Piscean energy is very similar, except these twins might be identical. Now let's explore Piscean energy when it becomes imbalanced, when it's lacking the Virgo to keep it in line. Pisces in the shadow, they may always be the victim, but unable to see how they are the common denominator in all their problems. If they become too attached to this victim identity, it can become a destructive pattern of manipulation, especially woe is me manipulation. Because it's a dreamy sign, Pisces can also be prone to delusion and illusion. They may wear rose-colored glasses, which can lead them into situations that they'll later feel victimized. They may not be able to see the writing on the wall or the red flags that are right in front of their face because they're so attached to the image they have in their own mind of that person. They have a tendency to escape reality for comfort in the dream world or fantasy world. And now this can be done in several ways, but I see it a lot with video games. I also see it a lot, since Pisces is a mutable water sign, with things like alcohol and drug addiction. So watch out for patterns of escapism and avoidance that can lead to addiction. Now, Pisces is the highest evolution of Libra energy, of Venusian energy. It's the highest evolution of love. And because it's the highest evolution of love, they may struggle with people-pleasing and codependency, or giving to receive it, which can become manipulative when imbalanced. They love the idea of love, and they want to flow and merge with their partner. But this desire to completely merge with another can cause them to lose their sense of identity if they put too much attachment into situations that aren't in their best interests. It's imperative for Pisces to learn where they end and the other begins. Traits of someone with strong Pisces placements, they're so intuitive that they automatically know what you're feeling before you might even know what you're feeling. And because they can sense what you're feeling, they're able to address those needs. They have a tendency to see the good in others and can be very forgiving. But this also has, they're highly visual, artistic, creative, poetic, imaginative, and intuitive. They're so intuitive that they might be psychic or spiritually gifted in some way, or there's something about them that is just wise beyond their years. Really indulgent and struggle with things like emotional eating, and it may struggle with a fixer or martyr complex. And you may see a collection of strays, be it stray animals or stray people that need fixing. It's imperative to find balance between the dreamy, imaginative, flowing, and emotive Pisces with the disciplined, hardworking, and discerning, highly organized, Mercury-ruled Virgo energies. Make those dreams a reality by first having a clear vision of what you want, writing down the steps you need to get there. Anyone with strong Virgo energy, and Capricorn energy too, knows about SMART goals. SMART is an acronym. Your goal, in order for you to set a SMART goal, it needs to be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-sensitive. It's imperative that we find balance between the emotional, dreamy, intuitive Piscean energy and the discerning, organized, hardworking, disciplined, Mercury-ruled Virgo energy. We might have a dream, but it would be impossible for that dream to become a reality if we didn't do the work, if we didn't set the framework or the foundation or create the plans to create habits on a daily basis that get us closer to that goal. And that's what this full moon is all about.
Let's recap our timeline of recent astrological history. On 2/5/2023, we had our full moon at 16 degrees of Leo, and on 2/20/2023, we had our new moon at 1 degree of Pisces, ushering us into Pisces season.
The Sun recently aligned with Saturn at 27 degrees of Aquarius prior to shifting into 0 degrees of Pisces on February 18, 2023. And Mercury recently aligned with Saturn at the 29th critical anaretic degree of Aquarius on Thursday, March 2nd, before Mercury slid into Pisces for a brief 15-day stay through the remainder of Pisces season until March 18th, bringing our conscious, logical minds, ruled by Mercury, into alignment with our sense of being, the Sun, and our karmic lessons, ruled by Saturn, allowing us to focus on Piscean themes of healing, spirituality, and transcendence. Mercury, which rules the logical and intellectual signs of Gemini and Virgo, has trouble expressing itself verbally in the sign of Pisces, which prefers to express itself visually and artistically. Over the next 2 weeks, watch out for escapism, emotional avoidance, self-delusion, passive aggression, conflict avoidance, people-pleasing, and codependency. My dad has his natal Mercury in Pisces, and while he can map out any city he's been to once from looking at a map, he struggles to communicate directly in verbal. I also have my natal Mercury in the 12th house, which, while it's not in the sign of Pisces, it's conjunct my Venus, which is exalted in the 12th house, and my chart ruler, making this a very strong energy, both in my chart and in my personality. And Saturn takes about 29 years to complete an orbit, divided by 12 zodiacal signs. It spends about 2.5 years or 30 months in each sign, and each time it changes signs, it marks a pivotal 2.5-year karmic cycle. If we weren't already aware of what the past 2.5-year karmic lessons have been in its visit through the constellation of Aquarius, we're going to become increasingly aware over the next few weeks, as Saturn slides out of the 29th critical anaretic degree of Aquarius and into the early degrees of Pisces during this full moon. 2.5-year or 30-month cycle of karmic lessons focus on Piscean themes of healing, spirituality, addiction, and personal transcendence. Sobering effect, and its intensity is weakened in Pisces, literally, which we mentioned can struggle with patterns of emotional avoidance and escapism that can lead to issues with addiction. Saturn, which was the cardinal earth sign of Capricorn, loves boundaries, rules, structure, order, and power, and it gets a bit lost in the murky and mutable water sign Pisces. Over the upcoming weeks and months, we may see more people trying sobriety or a push towards sobering up some of our current addictions and escapist tendencies, especially regarding video games, binge-watching TV, escaping reality by mindlessly scrolling on social media, and other ways of escaping from the harsh realities of daily life into fantasy and dream realms. Earth and water mix together to make mud or clay, which we can use to build and cement. Saturn and Aquarius had us focus on karmic lessons aligned with Aquarian themes of answering a humanitarian call or aligning with authenticity, control of the World Wide Web and data, the negative effects of data monitoring and social media marketing on one's psychology, and freedom of speech, to name a few. Saturn in Pisces will teach us to set and employ energetic boundaries that help us better take care of ourselves so we can better show up for and pour onto others. This means less time mindlessly scrolling through social media and more time using that social media platform to create inspiring content. Or perhaps it means not using the social media account at all for a couple weeks while you turn inward and completely commit to a spiritual practice involving journaling, yoga, meditation, breathwork, writing, whatever speaks to you. Find balance between the dreamy, creative, fluid, and imaginative nature of Pisces and the structured, disciplined, methodical Capricorn-ruled Saturn. Don't just dream it, do it. Once you have the vision, map out the plan to make that dream a reality. And remember, 16 degrees of Virgo is here to remind you that you already have everything you need to be successful. Alignment of energies favoring heightened intuition, creativity, healing, and spirituality for those who are willing to do the work over the next 2.5 years. This means learning to sit down with your emotions and work through them, rather than against them or otherwise suppressing or avoiding their existence. It includes committing to spiritual or self-care practices for our own betterment and for a more aligned, integrated, and authentic experience. The of March 2023 are ushering in a spiritual transformation for many as two major planetary bodies ruling the depths of our psyches and personal transformation Pluto, and our individual and collective karma, Saturn, prepare for major energetic shifts and ingress into their next zodiacal signs on their path. We will mirror these shifts as we collectively move away from darkness and toward integrity, authenticity, and alignment with our highest selves, larger collective, and authentic calling. The full moon may manifest in your life. You need to look where you have 16 degrees of Virgo and 16 degrees of Pisces in your chart. The mutable energies are being emphasized this full moon, so it would be helpful to also see where you have 16 degrees of any of the mutable signs: Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, and Sagittarius, as the mutable signs are all currently in a challenging 90-degree angle or square to one another. These positions, oppositions, and squares call for an integration of seemingly conflicting energies, and you can always find balance by looking to a sign's opposite sign. For example, an excess of emotional, Piscean, spiritual, woo-woo energy can be balanced through the practical, realistic Virgo. The house it's in will point to clues as to the life area that will be affected. For example, I'm a Libra rising, born at 12 degrees of Libra, which puts 16 degrees of Pisces in my 6th house of daily life, health, and karma. Very much been avoiding my call as an artist. But Saturn in Pisces is here to teach me to overcome my North Node in Aquarius fear of the spotlight so that I may tap into and share my South Node in Leo gifts in a way that benefits the larger collective. I can do this by taking my vision, reverse engineering the steps involved to create a loose framework or plan from which I can commit to a structure or routine of small, consistent habits and behaviors that will get me closer to my goal. For example, if my goal is to slowly grow a successful YouTube channel where I can create a community of collaborative and compassionate individuals, I can begin by preparing and posting a video for each major lunar cycle. This full moon at 16 degrees of Virgo is emphasizing our axis of healing. The 6th and 12th house, the Virgo Pisces axis of opposition, as it's called, is the axis of healing. Virgo has everything to do with physically healing the body through the earth, especially as in holistic practices or ingredients that you can find. It may also involve healing physical ailments that have manifested as a result of unresolved psychological and emotional trauma. Because as you know, unresolved emotional trauma manifests physically in the body in the form of illness. Pisces involves healing the mind and the spirit, or emotional healing. Unresolved wounds have a way of calling in situations that repeat the past, causing chaos in our lives and forcing us to relive it until we identify the cyclical patterns and do the work to heal and break free, which is why it is so important that you capitalize on the opportunity to balance these energies now. Similar to running around a track, the things that we avoid or run away from, they're going to appear in another form, another shape, another person. The lesson stays the same. You need to open yourself up to hearing the lesson. So let's talk about Virgo in opposition to Pisces. Virgo is the goddess of the zodiac, representing Gaia, or Mother Earth energy, which reminds us of our natural power to heal, grow, and align with integrity and intuition. By focusing on what brings us intrinsic joy and fulfillment, it naturally becomes the work that we do and how we can be of service to others. Virgo's mission is all about cultivating a life of purpose and passion that aligns emotional fulfillment with supporting the growth and healing of others. It involves remaining rooted in integrity, individuality, and authenticity while showing up for and serving others, which is how we elevate others to our level of consciousness. And it begins with prioritizing and modeling our own self-care. When you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. This is because when you satisfy your soul, that energy becomes contagious, and you will naturally contribute to the healing, happiness, and well-being of the greater collective, as this energy emanates from you naturally. Virgo energy continues the focus of its previous neighboring sign Leo, but takes it another step further, where Leo focuses on cultivating joy, passion, self-expression, and heart-centered leadership. Virgo takes this process another level by asking us to discern precisely what it is that absorbs our full attention and allows us to lose ourselves in a flow state. What we lose ourselves working on is a very strong indicator of the work we're here to do. Virgo energy, as one of the great healers of the zodiac, reminds us that when we neglect self-care or fail to address underlying unprocessed grief, trauma, fears, or resentments, it can lead to self-sabotage. This is because unprocessed past grief and trauma creates energetic chaos in our systems that remains long after the initial trigger has passed. Those energetic patterns, characterized by unhealthy and limiting thought patterns, get trapped in our bodies in the form of anxiety, depression, among other negative manifestations of a dysregulated emotional system. The avoid or otherwise sweep under the rug has a nasty way of coming back up and forcing us to face it. And when we fail to address past grief and trauma and become triggered in the future, those unconscious emotions that we thought we had carefully tucked away come bubbling to the surface and end up exploding out of us, controlling us instead of the other way around. This takes us out of the beauty of the present moment and not only distracts us, but has the potential to completely take us off course if we allow it to. Virgo energy in the shadow struggles with feeling enough. You have always been good enough, worthy of your gifts, and your gifts are ready to be embraced by others. They may struggle with perfectionism. They have this beautiful eye for detail, but that eye for detail can slow them down. They can get too focused on the details and they become unable to focus to see a task through to completion because they're so focused on the imperfections of something. They may struggle to accept their gift even if after they do the work to identify it. And I've known for years now what my calling in this life has been, and as an individual whose 12th house or past life house is ruled by Virgo, I resonate with this significantly. There have been many periods of my life where I struggled with perfectionism to the point where it prevented me from actually doing the work. So here are some pointers on how to work with the energy. So with the stellium or Piscean party we've got going on, you can turn to music. Music offers a safe space for emotional release, and many people with their Mercury, their mind in Pisces, become poets, artists. They write songs more often than not. So you can look to music for messages at this time from the collective. A little game I like to play, it works best if you use something that's completely randomized, like the radio, but before driving, I might sit in my car and do a couple minutes of breath work, especially if I'm feeling anxious or anything, and just work through that extra energy. And I'll ask for a sign, and you can usually find something that resonates from the first song you hear. You can ask the universe, you can ask God, whatever you deem is up there. Ask them for a sign, ask them for a message. Listen to the radio and see what messages come through. Excess of Piscean energy, you can always look to the opposite sign, Virgo, to balance it out. So working with the Virgo moon. Keep a clean, decluttered home and work environment. These spaces are reflections and physical manifestations of our mental environment. So it's important to keep them clear and organized, especially if you have strong Virgo energy. If you have strong Virgo energy, you do this anyway. Know you have the power and tools to create the life of your dream. This Virgo moon is here to remind you, through all your negative self-talk and doubts, all that criticism, that internal dialogue that I need you to shut off. It's here to remind you that you have the power. You already have all the tools in your tool belt that you need to create the life of your dreams and to sustain it. Organize and schedule smaller components of that larger dream to make it a reality. Virgo is known for its organization. Manifestation of this energy can be applied to our concept of scheduling. And it's one of those aspects of a SMART goal. Remember, it needs to be specific, measurable, and time sensitive. One of my big Virgo traits, and something I learned as a kid, especially in college when I was presented a syllabus, was precisely that's my tool, right? And my syllabus is telling me how to get a good grade. So if I want that A, well, what exactly do I need on exams 1, 2, and final to get that A? And how can I maximize my output of energy to get that A without giving in excess of that energy? That's all about Virgo energy. That's how Virgos create efficiency and organized systems. It'd also be good to set some time each day to explore what sparks joy within your heart. Hopefully you already know this, but if you don't, which, no judgment, I was there a few years back myself, a good way to start is to notice the things that you lose yourself doing. I lose myself when I sing. I lose myself when I study astrology. And that's how you know that's the work you're meant to do. There will be this passion, and you won't be able to remove yourself from it. You'll completely lose all sense of time. And if you're someone who struggles with internal criticism, a negative parent voice, as it's called in personality psychology, I need you to pay attention to those thoughts, because those thoughts create your emotions, and those emotions affect your behaviors. More importantly, your reactions. And that affects your reality. This is how you manifest the life of your dreams. Struggle with a negative self-voice. I need you to employ affirmations and mantras to address self-doubt and a harsh inner critic. How you want to feel every day and create a life, create a routine, create daily habits that reinforce that feeling. Their Virgo moon thing would be to have a plan, a game plan, a backup plan for when emotional and triggering situations arise, especially ones that are outside of our control. Some tools that are in my tool belt: call a trusted friend or loved one to get a different perspective on the situation. You can hire a therapist who you are paying to be completely unbiased. What you put into those sessions, you get out. Remember, you're paying them to be detached and to provide their input. So what you put into therapy is what you're going to get out of it. And since Virgo is ruled by Mercury, which is known for quick changing energy, you may also benefit from some breath work. Breath work is a really good way to ground down, especially through things like overthinking or anxiety, which is an unfortunate but almost necessary byproduct of somebody who has so much Mercurian or intellectual activity. All right, now for your journal prompts. For Pisces, where may I be avoiding fully living life by getting high, drunk, or mindlessly scrolling through social media, investing time into video games, binge-watching television, etc.? Am I balancing time spent dreaming and imagining with time spent doing the actual work and creating? Which tools that once benefited me may have become crutches for me lately? And where have I been avoiding my call as an artist, healer, or spiritual guide? For the Virgo energy, how can I show up every day for myself and for others? In what ways am I blocking myself from manifesting what's already mine? Am I doing daily work that is aligned with my highest self and soul purpose? Is there anything causing me doubt, telling me that I'm unworthy or not enough, or preventing me from believing I'm capable of manifesting anything I set my mind to? These feelings may be subtle, but notice if they come up. Notice when you become stagnant in your path, or when fear or feelings of unworthiness bubble up. Notice when perfectionism comes up and blocks your growth. Become aware of the shadow of your unconscious mind that tells you stories of why you could not possibly be good enough to stand in the power of yourself. And as you acknowledge these things and actively work with them rather than against them, you begin to heal what holds you back from answering your call. Remember, in the wise words of Albus Dumbledore, it does not do to dwell on dreams and forget to live. Pisces season ends on Monday, March 20th, culminating the end of another astrological year before beginning a fresh annual cycle the very next day on Tuesday, March 21st, the spring equinox and astrological new year. This is also the same day as our next new moon, which will be at 0 degrees of Aries and will be on 3/21 at 1:23 p.m. I thought you might like that synchronicity. It'll be introducing us to themes of me versus we. It'll also serve as a preview for what's in store for us coming in July, when the North Node shifts signs from Taurus into Aries for the next 18-month cycle. Our next full moon is on April 6th, and that is in the sign of Libra at 16 degrees. Again, emphasizing the opposition of energies between Aries and Libra along the Aries-Libra axis of me versus we. We have another new moon in Aries at the end of Aries season at 29 degrees of Aries. So you'll have 2 opportunities to plant seeds for things you'd like to work on in the area of life that involves your independence and your autonomy versus where you merge and flow in relationship, especially one-on-one relationships, be them romantic or business partnerships. Stay tuned and keep an eye out for my new moon in Aries video coming soon for information.
Here's a chart I made of the upcoming lunar cycles that I'll be covering. Feel free to grab a screenshot of it and all the energies that'll be interplaying. Thank you for watching.